Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, I'm going to bring you the Champions Draft that we hosted here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. This is a draft we do every season. We invite the top players from our site, our top fantasy players from our site to participate in the league. These are the best of the best. They participate in the draft. We taped it on a Zoom call, and we taped the picks as they were happening to get the owner's thoughts and also the thoughts on the coming season for 2021. So it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting watch, most definitely. So you want to check it out before you draft any of your teams tonight. And don't forget to draft those teams here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Go to rtsports.com. You can sign up for one of our leagues today. We have all sorts of leagues going off all the time, different price points, different formats, best ball, all-American. You can get in high-stake leagues as well. We also have our big fantasy championship, best ball championship too. These are going to sell out this year. I guarantee it. So sign up for those sooner than later. Go to rtsports.com. And now here's our Champions Draft here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Enjoy. Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, and welcome to the Champions Draft here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. I've been running this Champions League on RT Sports for probably 10 plus years now. I'm not sure. I got to look at the archives, but I've been doing it a long time. A lot of these owners have been in this league a long time as well. These are the best of the best owners on RealTime Fantasy Sports. They're our top-rated players. They get in this league. They beat each other up week after week, and someone comes out on top. Last year, our winner was Max Value. That's Paul Farrell. He won the league last year. He is the 12th ranked player on our site. He had 31 wins last year as well. I'll run down the draft order real quick for everybody so they know what we're dealing with here, and then we'll get the draft started. First on the clock with the first pick is Justin Cox, just a Kittle. He is the 17th ranked player on our site. He won 24 contests last year with us. Second pick is Rock Frost. He is the first overall rated player on our site. First overall, he has 20 plus wins, 7 straight years on RealTime Fantasy Sports. Quite the achievement for Rock Frost. Stephen Hawley, one of the best players out there, has the third pick. He is the fifth ranked player on our site. He is a former TFC champion. Brian Hugh has the fourth pick. He is the 140th ranked player on our site. No small feat to be ranked in the top 150 on our site. Way to go, Brian. Ralph Schiavon has the fifth pick, 7th ranked player on our site. 41 wins last year. Ralph's been doing this a long time. One of the best owners out there. He's in a lot of leagues on our site as well. If you're drafting, you likely have seen Ralph in one of your leagues, and he does a great job. We've interviewed him in the past too on our videos, and he really is an enjoyable interview, and I hope to have him on again sometime this year to do more hard-hitting stuff for the coming season. Brad Petrie has the 6th pick. He is the 4th ranked player on our site. He won 21 contests last year on our site. Richard Mallins, he is the only new owner in this league this year. He has the 7th pick, Richard Mallin. He is the 2nd ranked player, so he definitely deserves it. Richard won 130 contests on our site last year. Pretty amazing. He won 130 contests. Richard, another owner who's in a lot of our leagues. You've likely seen him if you're drafting on RT Sports. Fozzie Dog, Jeremy Brock, has the 8th pick. He's another guy that's in a ton of leagues on our site. Jeremy does a great job. He's a great owner. He is the 19th ranked player on our site. He won 30 contests last year. Rick Mogard, he has the 9th pick. He is the 30th ranked player on our site. Rick, another very good owner. I have the 10th pick. I am not ranked on the site because I cannot get in contests because I work for RealTime Fantasy Sports. I'm just trying to keep up with all these guys. They do a great job. Gregory Marapes, he has the 11th pick this year. He was in the contest last year as well. He is the 40th ranked player. He had 8 wins last year. Another very good owner. Paul Farrell, like I said, is the defending champ. He is back to defend his title, and he has the 12th pick in this draft. So without further ado, we're going to kick it off. We're going to get this draft started. Everybody's going to start picking. I'm going to go to them when they make picks as well. So when they make their picks, I'm going to talk to them, and we're going to get their thoughts on the picks as well. So first pick up is Justin Kittle. He took Christian McCaffrey. No surprise there. He is not in our call right now, though, so he will not be asked about his pick that everybody knew was coming. So Justin Kittle took He took Christian McCaffrey. So now Rocco Frost is up. He has a second pick overall. Let's see what he does here. Can go a couple different ways. And he took Dalvin Cook. So Rock, I got to ask you, what's your thoughts on Dalvin Cook going second overall?
Well, he's really, really great back. And if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be in Green Bay this year, I think Minnesota is going to be the team to beat. And I really like the attitude for the whole team there. So I'm going to go with their running back star to get myself started here.
Sounds good. So Stephen Hawley, he had the third pick, and he took Alvin Kamara, one of the top rated fantasy backs in the game last year. Been there for several years as well. Been very good. Not a huge surprise to see him go there. And then Saquon Barkley, he goes fourth overall to Brian. Fantasy Fury. Brian's not in here. I would like to get his thoughts on that pick as well, because I think that's a tough one. A lot of people have high. Oh, no, Brian is here. I'm sorry. There you are, Brian. Let me get your thoughts on Saquon Barkley. You excited about him for this coming year? You took him fourth overall.
Oh, yeah. I know he has a lot of upside, but I know he's had injuries the last 2 years. But, I mean, I think with Kenny coming in as wide receiver, and maybe he makes the quarterback, Daniel Jones, makes a second-year improvement. I think he can get back close to where he was 2 or 3 years ago.
All right. So after Saquon Barkley goes Derrick Henry to Ralph. Ralph, talk about that pick, will you please?
Yeah, well, I mean, even with them Tennessee getting Julio, I think they're not going to stack the box at Henry. They're still going to feed him the rock. I don't know how many passes he's going to catch, but he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. And I think in the 4th spot, I think, or the 5 hole for me to grab him there. I'm pretty happy with that pick. I think he's going to have another strong year. He's a solid running back. He's a freight train, and he'll get the goal line carries. He's going to just, he'll get a lot of volume.
All right.
Volume, sure thing from that early pick.
Yeah, definitely. Brad had the next pick after Ralph. He took Ezekiel Elliott. Brad, just give me your quick thoughts on that pick, taking Zeke there.
Well, it was an option between him and Taylor, and I'm not really thrilled with either one. So, yeah, I was kind of necessity there. I thought we needed to take a running back, but those were my top 2, and I really didn't have a preference.
All right, Richard, you had the next pick. You took the aforementioned Jonathan Taylor. You happy with getting him at that spot in the draft, Richard?
Oh, I love it. I did not want to take Elliott, and I would have been stuck taking Elliott next. So, yeah, give me Taylor, his 5-yard per carry rookie season. And he only, they only used him in the second half.
All right, after Taylor goes Najee Harris. So the rookie back goes to Jeremy Brock. Jeremy, I'd like to get your thoughts on that. You're taking the rookie with 9th overall pick. Pretty high on him, I'm assuming, for this coming year.
You are up next.
Sorry, Jeremy, you're muted right now, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay. That is probably a little early to take him, is what I was saying. Out of the potential workhorse backs, though, that doesn't have nobody pushing him for another role, he was like one of the last ones there. On the strategy that I'm going to go with for that time, I wanted to still lead back with not much competition behind him, and he's going to get a lot of carries this year through them. Just hope the offensive line can open some holes for him is all.
All right, Rick, you had the pick after Jeremy. You had the 9th overall pick, and you took Austin Eckler. Can I get your thoughts on that pick there, Rick? What do you think about Eckler for this coming year?
Well, all I know is that his offensive coordinator is a Lombardi, and if he can't figure out how to get him the ball, well, then I guess I'll go down in flames with him.
I like that. You think he's going to get a lot of touches out of the backfield as well as a receiver with that offensive coordinator?
Yep, I think so. And if not, well, then it is what it is. But, it's get to the back end, it's a little tough. And you got to only, you got the cards you got to play with, and you got to pick a card. So.
Sounds good. Okay, I had the pick after that, actually, and I took Nick Chubb. Again, I'm not big on taking a receiver at this point just because I feel like it's a really deep class this year. So I'm kind of waiting on that, want to get an elite back. I felt Chubb was kind of the best option out of that. I don't like that he doesn't catch as many passes as some of those top guys, but I'll go with the guy in a great running situation in Cleveland. So I took Nick Chubb. Greg, you had Tyreek Hill next with your next pick. Greg, can you give me your thoughts on that? Oh, Greg, you got to unmute yourself. Sorry.
All right, you hear me now?
I
Yeah,
do now.
I wanted that Pittsburgh running back, but he was already taken. So the rest of the backs, I figure I can get the same kind of back in the second round. So I figure why not get a better receiver, you know?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. All right, so now Max Value is on the clock. Paul's on the clock. He gets back-to-back picks. With his first pick, he took Travis Kelce. I'll ask him about his second pick as well when he makes that one, so I can let him take his time here. Let me recap that first round for you. So we had first pick overall, Christian McCaffrey. Second pick, Dalvin Cook. Then Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. So just one receiver and one tight end pick. The rest were all running backs. Paul went with Aaron Jones. So Paul, you took Travis Kelce, Aaron Jones. Can you give me your thoughts on those two picks? What were you thinking about with those two guys?
Yeah, I lost my internet, so I just got back in just in time, and I just grabbed Kelce because I seen he was there. Then I wanted to take Najee Harris, but he was gone. And so I took Aaron Jones as the best running back left there. I don't know. I think I might have jumped on too early, but if Rodgers comes back and does play for the Packers, I guess he'll be a good pick. He kind of faded at the end of last year, but it was kind of a desperation pick. I don't think I wanted him that bad. But,
all right. So after Paul, Antonio Gibson went next. He went with the second pick in the second round to Greg's team. Greg, so he's your first running back. Can you talk about taking Antonio Gibson there? You liked him over some of these other guys.
Yes, I mean, I'm not thrilled about him being my RB1, but compared to the other backs that were available, I liked his upside, so I figure I'd go with him.
All right, so I had the next pick. I took Joe Mixon. I actually thought about him in the first round. I like him a lot this coming year. Kind of been one of my targets. I like that offense. I think it's going to be a pretty good Cincinnati offense as long as the offensive line holds up. So I'll take Mixon as my second back here. I'm good with that. So I'm pretty happy with getting Mixon and my first pick, which was Nick Chubb. Sorry, I had a brain freeze there. So I have Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, two Ohio backs on my team. Not really a planned strategy, but that's the way it goes. And those are my two backs right now. So after that goes Cam Akers to Rick Mogard. Rick, you got is Austin Eckler, Cam Akers. Can you talk a little bit about Cam Akers? You expect a big breakout year from him this year.
Yeah, I think that after the second half of last year, I think that's going to flow right into the beginning of this year. I think he's an all-purpose back. I think he's going to get fed the ball. And looking at the rest of the running backs, I think he was the best available.
All right. Sounds good. So Rick took Cam Akers. Let's see who goes next. We have Stephon Diggs goes to Jeremy Brock, and then Richard Malins took Devontae Adams. So two receivers go back-to-back. Jeremy, you took Stephon Diggs. Talk about him as a second receiver off the board. You expect another big thing, another huge season from him in Buffalo, Jeremy?
He's going to have a tremendous year this year. He's going to have second year with Allen. Is going to come complete with him. Allen's going to come into more of a passer, even more than he was last year. He's going to be unstoppable. It's just going to be a great deal for him over there. But it's hard to see last year's stats. Same players don't always repeat, but I think he's going to have a somewhat close to the same year. A few less targets, but still the same.
So, Richard, you picked a receiver right after that as well. You took Devontae Adams. Any concerns at all with the whole Rodgers situation, or you feel okay still taking Adams? As
Oh,
third
if
receiver?
Rodgers there, he's like the 8th overall pick. So he's, just got a second first rounder. He's not there. He's going to be like probably 3rd rounder if Rodgers ain't there. I mean, we've seen what other good receivers do, even without having a good quarterback. I can't say their names because they're coming up.
Yeah. So the risk reward factor was too high for you to pass on at that point, basically.
That's it.
All right. Let's take a look at the board now. So we have another receiver. Receivers flying off the board now. Brad Petri took DeAndre Hopkins, and Calvin Ridley went to Ralph. And then Brian took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So we had 2 more receivers go off the board. Brad, you took DeAndre Hopkins. Talk about that pick for me a little bit, Brad, please.
Me.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think he was probably the next receiver to go out of that group. And I don't typically go 2 running backs a lot. So it made sense for me to go that. I was hoping maybe Adams would slide a little bit further, but he didn't. So I took Hopkins as the next pick.
All right. So after Hopkins went another receiver in Calvin Ridley. Ralph, you took Ridley. What are you thinking about Ridley this year? Obviously, you probably like him a little better now since Julio Jones is out of the picture. You expecting monster season from Ridley?
I had him rated pretty high. I didn't even change my board that much to Ridley. I had him rated pretty high to begin with. And now with Jones, he's the man, and they are going to pass the ball around. That's not going to change any. I mean, they got some other mouths in there, but at that point, it was a toss-up between that and somebody else. And I thought Ridley pairing him up with Henry I just thought he was the best receiver available at the time. I'm going with the best pick available in my book, in my plan. That was on my board. He was the top pick, but I think he's going to have a monster year. Absolutely.
All right. So Brian, you had the next pick after Ralph.
2 touchdowns.
You took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That was everybody's favorite rookie running back last year. What are your thoughts on Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year? You think this is the year he has that breakout year? You're expecting a monster season from him?
Okay. He had a disappointing season somewhat last year, but I mean, he's coming into his second year. And like I said, that offense is so powerful. I mean, I see just tremendous touchdowns from him and yardage. And I really think he'll have a very nice season this year, worthy of a second round pick.
All right. So Brian, you got Saquon Barkley, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Those are your first 2 picks. Stephen Hawley was next. He took Justin Jefferson. So he has Alvin Kamara, Justin Jefferson, then Rock Frost took DK Metcalf, and he has Dalvin Cook as well. He's picking again right now, so I won't bug him just yet, but I'll talk about his 2 picks after he makes it. A.J. Brown then went to Justin Cox, and then he followed that with Darren Waller. So Justin Cox has Christian McCaffrey, A.J. Brown, Darren Waller. Rocco Frost, you took George Kittle then, so you have DK Metcalf, George Kittle. Those are your next 2 picks. You talk about those 2 guys that just went to your team.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to get one of those 2 tight ends, but they were both there. So I went with Metcalf first as my top receiver on my list, and took got Kittle on the way back because I would be happy with either one of those tight ends coming back. I really like tight end in a single flex, so I put a little oomph on there.
All right, we just got done talking to Rocco Frost about his 2 picks. He took DK Metcalf and George Kittle back to back. Then after that, Stephen Hawley, who was not in this meeting, unfortunately, took J.K. Dobbins. And then Brian took DeAndre Swift. So he took 3 straight running backs. Brian, you have Barkley, Edwards-Helaire, and Swift. Can you talk to me about having going with 3 straight running backs for those first 3 picks? Talk about those.
Okay, yeah, I went 3 running backs because running backs are pretty thin this year, especially some that are full workhorses. And like I said, there is a lot of receivers out there that have upside. So I think it's to my advantage is I think it's better to get 3 backs, and hopefully I hit on some of those sleeper or breakout receivers later on in the draft.
All right. So after Swift, Ralph took Miles Sanders. So he has Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, Miles Sanders. Ralph, talk to me about Miles Sanders. I know he's not exactly a sure thing, out of the running back position, but he definitely has upside and a high ceiling. So, what are your thoughts on Miles Sanders this year?
I think he's more. I think he's more than that because they don't. I mean, they don't have a lot. I know Hurts is going to run the ball a lot, but they've got young receivers. None of them really tested, and the youngest receiving core in the league. He doesn't have much behind him. I mean, he's got a lot of. There's a lot of backs there. It's a crowded room, but he catches the ball in the backfield. You got a young quarterback that's going to hopefully dump the ball off. He can catch passes. I think he's going to have enough. I think people are selling him short. I had him not. And I brought him back up because I started thinking about it a little bit, and there's not a lot of options there. It's going to have to go through Hurts and Sanders in Philadelphia.
All right, after Ralph, Brad Petrie took Michael Thomas, so he has Zeke, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, a veteran squad that's definitely been top producers in the past. He has 3 really solid players. So let's talk about that Michael Thomas pick a little bit. And give me your thoughts on that, Brad.
Well, again, one of the leftover the tiers I had of the receivers. So I could have went a few ways in that aspect, but I didn't really like any running backs in that area. So, and he's kind of. There's a lot of questions about Michael Thomas. I mean, I think first of all, you don't know the quarterback for sure. You don't know how that's going to work out. So there's a little bit of risk there. And I think somewhat that's why he falls a little bit. But as far as a player goes, I think he's the best fit for me. And I just like to take him there. Like I said, there's some quarterback issues or questions, I should say. So he may rise or fall depending on when that gets sorted out.
All right, Richard Mallon was up next. He took Keenan Allen, so he went back-to-back receiver, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen. Richard, talk to me about the Keenan Allen pick.
Oh, Keenan Allen, Ralph got me with that Sanders pick. I wanted to get Thomas. He was gone, so Keenan Allen was next. There's about 4 or 5 more receivers, all pretty similar, I think. I just went with Allen because it seems like that's Abear's, our go-to guy. He had 1,000 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. He missed a couple games, so I'm looking for like 1,210.
Okay, so Richard went back-to-back with receiver. Jeremy Brock did the exact same thing, went back-to-back. He took Stephon Diggs, Allen Robinson with his next pick. Jeremy's actually on the clock right now on the way back. We're trying to catch up with these picks a little bit, but I will let Jeremy pick, and I'll recap this third round. So it was Darren Waller, George Kittle. So we had tight ends go back-to-back. Then J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Miles Sanders, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, Chris Carson went to Rich Mogard. I took Terry McLaurin, then David Montgomery, Travis Etienne. So Jeremy just took his 4th-round pick. He took Josh Allen. So he went Allen with back-to-back picks, Allen Robinson, Josh Allen. Jeremy, talk about those 2 picks with me. You went Allen Robinson, then you want QB, first QB off the board, and it's Josh Allen.
I wanted to pair up Diggs with Allen if possible, kind of give up another high position if you do that, but I think the pair works well. Allen Robinson, I think he's going to get a lot of passes over there. So the receivers in that category are all about the same. I favor him over the other receivers. So I went with him. I think it's a good pairing. I think the team's off to a good start.
So Josh Allen too, you went him first overall quarterback. So you think he's the top-rated QB this year. He's top-rated on your board, obviously, since you took him first overall. But you like him more than Mahomes, more than Lamar?
Mahomes is coming off a little bit of the foot injury. I think he'll be fine for the season. You just got to get out there and get comfortable again. In fantasy football, though, I think the legs are going to come into a little bit more of an issue, and that's why I like Allen better over Mahomes. So, yeah, that's why I went with him.
Okay, so Rick, you had 2 picks as well. You took Chris Carson at the end of the 3rd, and then CeeDee Lamb on the way back. So you have 3 running backs: Austin Eckler, Cam Akers, Chris Carson, CeeDee Lamb. Rick, can you talk to me about the start of your draft? You happy with how it's shaped up so far?
Yeah, I don't have a problem taking 3 running backs in a row. I just thought that the drop off after Carson was more than I wanted to go with. And I still think there's plenty of good receivers out there. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to, well, he told everybody to get the popcorn ready. So I feel good about the first four anyway.
All right. So after Rick was myself, I took Terry McLaurin, and then I took Chris Godwin on the way back. So I went running back, receiver. Sometimes I like to get 3 running backs and 1 receiver after 4 rounds, but I just felt the upside of Godwin was too high, so I took him on the way back. I love Terry McLaurin this year with Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing him the ball. I think he's going to have a monster year, a ton of targets in that offense. So pretty happy with the way my team has started so far. After me, Gregory Marpees took David Montgomery with the 11th pick of the 3rd round. Then he took Mike Evans on the way back. So he has Tyreek Hill, Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery, and Mike Evans. Gregory, can you talk to me a little bit about the start to your draft and how you think your team's shaping up right now?
Yeah, I wanted some better running backs, but people have been grabbing them like before I had a chance. Like I wanted the Pittsburgh back and I wanted Chris Carson, but they were both gone. And I didn't want to pass on not getting another running back, so I like to have at least 2 running backs. So I grabbed Montgomery for default, basically. He'll get a lot of carries. I mean, he's like the only guy there, so I figure go with him. And then I really like Mike Evans in the 4th round. I think another year with Brady, like he'll do well if he's healthy.
All right, so after Greg was Paul. Unfortunately, he's dropped out of this call. I don't see him right now, but he took Travis Etienne and Myles Gaskin. So it was Aaron Jones, Etienne, and Gaskin to go with Travis Kelce. He does not have a receiver on his roster yet, but he is the defending champion, so you can't question Paul too much here. He's going all in on running back, loves Kelce at tight end as well, took him with his first pick. So that's the start of his team. Then after that, we had Mike Evans go. I talked about that to Greg, and then I took Chris Godwin, then CeeDee Lamb to Rick, Josh Allen to Jeremy. Richard took Amari Cooper. So he has 3 receivers in a row. He has quite the trio of receivers with Devontae Adams and Cooper and Keenan Allen. Sorry. So he has Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. Richard, you're going all in on receiver here. Is that kind of the strategy you're looking at this year? Is this just how it played out for you in this draft?
Nah, it's just how it played out. They grabbed all the running backs again. They should know in these leagues they do that. So yeah, I'm not gonna take a iffy running back over Cooper. Not happening.
All right. So after that, Brad Petri, he took quarterback off the board with Patrick Mahomes. Brad, can you talk to me about that pick of Patrick Mahomes? You went with him in the 4th round.
At that point in time, it was either Jacobs or another receiver, and I really felt like receiving group I could get somebody that I liked on the way back. So then it was between Mahomes and Jacobs, and I just rather have Mahomes. I'm pretty sure Ralph might have taken him if he had the option as well. And he could confirm that, but
you hot dog, you.
So it kind of played a little keep away as well.
Yeah, so we'll ask Ralph. You had the next pick, took Josh Jacobs. Ralph, would you have taken Mahomes there?
Well, hell yeah, he always does. He always takes my guys. He just does it every time. He took my guy.
Now I think everyone knows each other really well in this draft. So I think you guys kind of know your tendencies. So does that factor into any your strategies when you're doing this draft? Anybody can answer that.
Oh yeah, we kind of know it's this picks. We kind of know, and Brian's not following he's not following the script either. So anyway, but Jacobs, I really was. I figured, well, he was actually top of my board, and I went with the 3rd running back. I still think he's gonna get a lot of work. I'm not as high as I was before, but as an RB3, he's gonna do fine for me. So now I'm up, and these guys have scarfed up all the good receivers. So now I got to go to the drawing board.
All right, Brian picked after that, and he took Tyler Lockett. Then it was Cooper Kupp to Stephen Hawley. And then we had, let's see here. we had Kareem Hunt go to Rocco Frost, and then Robert Woods to Justin Cox. So let's talk to Brian here. You had the pick of Tyler Lockett. He is your first receiver off the board, and you got Lockett. You feeling good about having Tyler Lockett as your number one receiver? You got to unmute yourself. Sorry, Brian.
Okay, I got to remember that. Yeah, he's just so reliable of a receiver. He just, he has big games and small games, but like I said, he's a very good player, and I'm happy to have him as my number one, considering I got three nice backs.
Yeah, you have
first
three
two
nice
rounds.
backs, and then I'll ask you about your 5th round pick because you already made it. You took Deontay Johnson. So you have Lockett and Johnson as your number 1 and 2 receivers. Talk about Deontay Johnson a little bit.
Oh, Johnson's an explosive player. If he didn't drop so many drops last year, his stats would have been better than what they were. So if he could work on his drops, I mean, I know there's 3 receivers there, but I mean, he just has tremendous upside.
All right. After that, Stephen Hawley took Cooper Kupp, and then Rocco Frost, he took Kareem Hunt. And then in the first pick of the 5th round, his first pick in the 5th round, his second pick overall, he took Julio Jones. So Rocco, talk to me a little bit about Kareem Hunt, Julio Jones.
Ralph always takes my guys. I would have loved to have Jacobs there. But Kareem Hunt's an excellent running back. If it wasn't for Chubb, he'd be a 3-down back himself. Always good for a flex play or a RB2 with a lot of upside if there's ever an injury to Chubb. And then with Julio, I think it's just going to be kind of exciting to see what Julio's going to do, and getting him in the 5th round. I don't feel like I can go wrong on that pick. Could be a pretty exciting year for Julio. I think he wants to see himself in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to that was one of my big questions, was where was he going to fall in the draft? So do you think the move hurts, helps his value, stays the same?
If he can stay healthy, he's going to be like a 1 or 1A. So think of a couple years ago when you had Antonio Brown and Juju Schuster going off, both putting up wide receiver number 1 points. So that's what I see. The same thing here. I think with this addition, there's no stopping Tennessee now. They're going to be they might be the team to beat in the AFC. Look out, Kansas City.
Yeah, most definitely. So after Rocco, Justin Cox took Robert Woods with the last pick in the 4th round. And then with the first pick in the 5th round, he took Javonte Williams, the Denver rookie. Then Julio Jones, like we just talked about with Rocco, went. Then we had DJ Moore to Stephen Hawley. Brian Hugh took Deontay Johnson. And then we had Kenny Galladay, Adam Thielen, Mike Davis, Trey Sermon, Juju Smith-Schuster, James Robinson, Mark Andrews, and Chase Edmonds. So I'm not going to recap all those picks with everybody, but I kind of want to just go around the room here and get your thoughts on the season. I will hit each player here. Richard, I want to talk to you first. You're my first guy, top left-hand corner. Just what did you learn from last year to help you for this year in terms of fantasy wise? Like, what did you take away from last season in preparation for this coming year?
That's a tough one. I'd say basically I'm stalling for time. See, I like this site that I could get on here early and get some of them rookies early, just like the Najee Harris is going the 1st round on all these drafts now. You could have had him 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th round. Pitts was a guy going 10th to 12th. You could grab him early. I mean, grab him 12th. Then now it costs you a 6th, 7th rounder. I like here you come and you can play early. That's what I like to do.
So what about this season? Are there any specific? I know you said you like to draft early, so you can maybe get some of those guys that are going earlier now, but maybe like specific targets. I know I don't want you to have to give away too much, but are there any players you're targeting this year? Any guys? I mean, you can talk about guys that have already been picked. So any guys you hire on this year? Any guys you're staying away from? Anybody you want to divulge to us here out for us?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna stay away from Barkley. They're gonna ease him in.
Okay.
There's a lot of questions with the running backs this year. Swift, the coach is talking like he's a B back. Everybody thought, he's a 2nd rounder. He might return 6th round value. There's a lot of things going on. I like grabbing the best player. So if there's running backs that I don't like, I'm not going to take them, even though I'm going to be short. I'll be stronger in a wide receiver.
So also, Richard, you do a ton of drafts on our site. You won a ton of leagues last year. Maybe you can talk to our viewers out there about maybe some common mistakes you see, anything that you see people doing in drafts you scratch your head about. Maybe, anything like that stick out to you?
Yeah, the biggest common mistake people make is not setting up their queue. You got to set your queue up because you're going to lose the internet. Your son or daughter is going to come in and you're going to have to talk to them and do something, right? There's 100 different ways you could, lose focus. And if you have your queue set up, it's no problem. It takes the best guy from your queue.
All right. Great stuff, Richard. Appreciate you joining the league this year. Let's talk to Ralph now. Ralph, I want to get your thoughts on the coming season. You've done some drafts so far. Just with the drafts you've done so far, is anything sticking out to you for this coming year? Anything different than last year?
I see it seems to be changing a lot. I mean, I'm constantly revamping my particular board, and I'm up right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead and make your pick. So I'll talk about Ralph's team. I'll tell you who he has on his team right now, so you can get a little see his lay of the land.
I'm not happy where I am at right
he has
now.
Derrick Henry and Miles Sanders. Receiver, he has Calvin Ridley, Kenny Golladay, and then Josh Jacobs is his flex. And he's up now, so doesn't have a starting tight end or quarterback yet. He's pretty deep at running back with 3 pretty good running backs. So let's see what Ralph does with his pick here. He's got a few seconds left to make his choice. A lot of pressure here we got on Ralph because we're talking to him and he's on the clock.
Okay, so this is what I was torn between a couple different players here, and I just decided just to go for my quarterback because I didn't think I would get. I just don't think they're going to come around. Quarterbacks are going earlier this year, more than I've ever seen. The top 6 or 7, and so I thought I would go with a young quarterback who's got some upside. And just lock in that right now. I was going to get somebody else, but I can't say it because I didn't pick them. But as far as this year of the draft, I agree with Rich 100%. If you don't, as soon as I draft a team, it may be 2 weeks from now. Doesn't matter what it is. The first thing I do after I draft a team, I go right in the queue and I queue it in. Now, I may change it later because I change my queue all the time. And also, roster construction is something other guys don't do. I mean, I do it all the time, knowing what you have to have going into it and just cross off what I need. But this year, I mean, what I mistakes last year, I don't know. I made too many of them, I guess. Pinpoint one. I pretty much do the same thing. I mean, I'm just trying to go for the best player available. Sometimes I will get too hung up on my roster construction and pick somebody that may not be the best player available, but it's maybe fit the need. Sometimes I do that. That can be a little bit of hang up, but that's pretty much it. I've done so many drafts all blend together.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Appreciate it. Jeremy Brock, I want to talk to you now, if you don't mind. So I wanted you to give our viewers just an overview of how do you get ready for the coming season? What is your preparation to get ready for a fantasy football season?
Oh boy, there's so many different ways to do that. I prep by doing a lot of best balls on the site, getting a flow of what I like to feel and see where players go. They got a great site on RT Sports to do that with, so plenty of drafts going off daily on that. Then you start to get your info on some back channels and you start to feel what you like, listen to what the other players are saying and to give out any of the little hints that they think. Every season changes though. This season, they're actually getting to do some preseason, and last year there wasn't nothing going on. So the fact that some of the rookies get to play this year, they're coming a little bit more valuable maybe. Who knows? Always make out your team list like these guys say to do. Make sure that you're got your players ranked. Always revamp your ranks as the teams go on, as the season changes, especially as it gets closer to season. before you do your bigger leagues, change them again, make sure everything's up to where you want it to be. And after that, just let your instincts take place.
So I want to ask you to talk about specific position. Ralph kind of talked about the QB spot. He took Justin Herbert. So I like to get people different views on the quarterback position. How do you approach it? Is this somebody you want to take early? You want to take one of these elite guys early? Do you want to wait, get platoon options, go super late, and maybe just hope to hit on somebody? How do you approach a QB spot?
On the QB spot, I've done a bunch of different ways this year. If I compare one of my top receivers with one of their matching quarterbacks, I will, if I don't have to pay too early of a price. Most of the time, I'll try to not pick the quarterback, but it's hard not to do. But if it makes it deep enough, I'm always going to. You got to decide for yourself how far in the draft that is per person and what build you're doing. So each build is different. Just depends on how you're going to line yourself up. If you take him and you're not prepared to take him at that and he falls down to you, you can really screw your build up if you ain't building it right. But then again, certain players recommend certain respect. And if they drop to you, you take them no matter what, and then you work around that. So each player will do it differently. If I see a player that's worth the value that makes it down, I'll change my build and take that player.
All right, good.
You gotta be willing to adapt through it. You gotta have a lot of outlets.
Good stuff, Jeremy. Appreciate the insight. Let's talk about some of these picks. I'm going to go over the last round. So round 5, I did recap that one. Then we had round 6. So Chase Edmonds was the last pick in round 6. Then Jamar Chase went first overall in round 6. In round 5, I should say. Chase Edmonds was the last pick in round 5. Jamar Chase went in round 6. Then Kyler Murray, DJ Chark, Lamar Jackson. I took DJ Chark. Michael Carter, Dak Prescott, Melvin Gordon, Justin Herbert, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton. So we have 7 QBs off the board now, halfway through round 7. So QB spot picking up a little traction here. Guys are getting picked a little earlier than most drafts, I think. I think in a lot of drafts, some of these guys going around 7 and 8. For the most part, is secured by most teams in this league right now after 6 rounds. We got 7 of the 12 owners with the quarterback. I do not have one yet, so I'm going to have to start looking at that position. Let me talk to Brad Petrie right now. He just made his pick. Brad, you just took Raheem Mostert. Your team right now is Ezekiel Elliott, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Patrick Mahomes, Adam Thielen, Melvin Gordon, and Raheem Mostert. So talk about your team right now, Brad. How do you feel about it?
Just like usual on most of my drafts, it's a second running back question. I'm not one of those guys that load up on running backs early. So I'm hoping between Ingram and Mostert, I can find a second running back. And probably, as you'll see here further, there'll probably be a plethora of average maybe running backs, just trying to find that second one. But that's kind of how I build my teams, unless something falls. I was actually going to take Pitts, but Ralph decided I thought Pitts at 7, whatever, 6 or 5 was very good value for him. He typically goes much earlier, or a round or 2 earlier in most drafts. So, when he had to do an audible there, and I at this point in time, I'm still looking for that second back. So that's why I took Mostert. There's probably more to come, so to speak. So
I'll ask you the same question I asked Ralph, Brad. Just the draft so far this year, anything sticking out to you? I know you've done a lot already. Anything you're seeing in particular that stands out to you in terms of drafting?
Well, I mean, here recently, obviously the Packers have dropped. Adams is dropping. I mean, I saw him go at 4th pick in the 2nd round, 4th from the 2.8 or whatever it was called, which to me, I mean, there's just huge value there. Regardless of who's quarterbacking the Packers, Adams is going to get his, I would think. So, things like that, the unknown. I mean, Watson. I mean, I'm a gambler. I take Watson a lot late. So the value, I listen, read a lot, like probably most of the other guys do, and I'm a gambler more than I'm trying to be cautious. So I'll take people like Watson. So I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns, and that's kind of where it's speculation. I mean, there's certain guys I never take, and I won't ever take, and just my preference. So,
Any guys you want to divulge that have been picked already, or you just
oh well, I'll give last year. I never took Dave Johnson or Le'Veon Bell. I
okay?
refused to do it, and other guys. I mean, obviously, I was sort of right, but and even the year before, I didn't like Le'Veon Bell. Sometimes there's just certain guys, just for whatever reason, I refuse to pick. Not so much this year, I guess, so far. I mean, I could probably think of some later, but nothing that stands out right now.
All right, thanks so much, Brad. Appreciate it. Always enjoy having you.
Yeah, thank you.
And always enjoy talking to you as well. Let's talk to Rocco. Rocco, it's the first time we've got to talk to you on a video. I appreciate it. You're one of the top owners on our site. You're always in a lot of leagues, and we like to see you. Like to hear from you and like to see you. So let's talk a little bit about this season. Anything that you're seeing in particular with the drafts you've done so far that is different than what these other guys have talked about? You seen any different trends? Anything standing out at all?
Well, I think the one trend we were all seeing this year is jump on those running backs early. Otherwise, you're going to wish you had. And Mallins is right. You know, if you're bullish on these rookies, get them early because they only go up the ADP as we get closer to training camp in the season. So if you're liking Pitts or Najee Harris or any of the good rookies, you better take them. Don't wait. Somebody else will grab them if you don't get them. And like Ralph was saying, you know, be smart about your. You know, I say go for need before want, and I think that's what he's talking about with roster construction. And you'll see a guy that you really, really want, but then you got a hole where you got to like say, hey, I need a tight end. I got to pass on this receiver. You know, that's one of my advices is go for need before want. And I'm really glad that COVID's out of the factor this year for the most part. And that was really dicey last year, to say the least.
So this year now we have an extra game. Is that factoring in anything at all for you?
Well, I actually kind of like that because 17 is my lucky number. So I'm kind of enjoying that. Maybe that'll be part of the good luck for me on that one there. An extra week to have fun, that's never bad.
Definitely. Thanks, Rocco. Appreciate it. Rick,
yeah, thank you.
Rick, let's talk to you now if you got a second here. Your thoughts on this season right now? Anything you're seeing in particular? I like to get this because you guys are all in so many drafts, and I think it's very good to get the insight from you guys to get it out there for our viewers. So anything you're seeing in particular standing out to you with draft trends? Anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'd say that with the rookies, with the them being able to have a halfway normal training camp, I think that they're going to make a bigger impact, obviously, than last year. I think we saw last year where a lot of rookies took half a season to get up to speed. I think they can make an impact right away this year. So don't be afraid to draft some rookies.
Yeah, I think we've seen that the last few years too with the QB position too. It used to be a rookie quarterback had a tough time making an impact in the league, but it seems that's kind of a thing of the past. Maybe it's because the colleges are getting them better prepared to play in the program, but it seems like they just make more of an impact right now. So you like any particular rookie quarterbacks you like? Since I'm talking about that right now, anybody sticking out to you there, Rick? Anybody you want to talk about? I know they haven't really been picked yet, but can you talk about this rookie QB class at all? You like any guys?
Well, in Dynasty, definitely there's several, but I think that there's a couple that can really make an impact about probably 4 games in. And I won't say any names, but yeah, I think about 4 games in, 3 to 4 games in, I think that you're going to see some fireworks.
How about this year's Justin Jefferson? Any rookie receiver you think is going to be that guy? Anybody can jump in if they want. I know they probably haven't been picked yet, so you might not want to say, but Anybody think they know this year's Justin Jefferson? We got somebody out there.
I think this guy's already been picked. So
Okay.
I think Chase. I mean, I think you're talking about Burrow. If he can come back from the knee, if he can be normal, I think that he's buddies of Chase. They're friends from college. I think it's going to be an aerial show. I mean, to be honest.
Greg, I want to talk to you.
I like Devonta Smith too.
Go ahead.
He should be sound.
Go ahead, Rob. Yeah.
Devonta.
Yeah, definitely not much competition for Devonta at all. Greg, I'd like to talk to you, get your thoughts. You're the last one. I haven't talked to you yet. How about your thoughts on this season, the drafts that have taken place so far? I know you've done a lot. Anything in particular you want to talk about that stands out to you?
Well, I just hope this year is a lot better than last year as far as with the COVID. That was a lot of work last year with guys not playing and missing a couple weeks with COVID. So you had to really go on the waiver and work. If some of your players weren't going to play,
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping the season plays out more normal than last year,
How about talk to me about waivers for a second, if you can? It's such an important part of the fantasy game to be a top player like all of you are in here. Talk about that waiver wire process at all. How do you approach it?
Well, you just don't want to use up all your money. A lot of times if you get in the playoffs, if you don't have any money left, then that can hurt you, when you're trying to win a league, So this year I'm going to try and get players I want, but still have money left when you make that playoff push.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on the call once again this year. So we got to talk to everybody. Let me quickly recap this last round, and then I am going to cut this broadcast off for everybody. And I will post, we will do an article on this, a couple articles actually. I'll do an article myself, and then these owners right here will be able to contribute some stuff as well. That'll be in the draft guide. I'll post this video in the draft guide too. You can see all this. I'll post the draft board as well, so you can see the entire draft as it's finished. But I want to talk about the picks that were just made quickly. So I said the 6th round. Let's do the 7th round. Ronald Jones went first, then Leonard Fournette, TJ Hawkinson, Odell Beckham, Kyle Pitts, Raheem Mostert, David Johnson, Logan Thomas, Noah Fant, Damian Harris, Robbie Anderson, Chase Claypool, Devontae Smith, James Conner, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Boyd, Jerry Jeudy, Irv Smith, Deebo Samuel, Curtis Samuel, Jalen Hurts, Kenyon Drake, Will Fuller, and Aaron. All right, so that's 8 rounds of the draft. Guys, I appreciate everybody joining me on this, giving our viewers some insight into the coming year, insight into your picks to know why you made these picks. I really appreciate everybody joining me, and it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, you're going to get a chance to read about these owners in the coming days when I get this story up on the site as well. You can read about their thoughts on their entire draft. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff, for having us. Appreciate it, buddy.
And that was the Champions Draft here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. At least half of the draft that we recorded here on this Zoom call. The rest of it is complete, though. I am going to post the draft board here right now. You can check it out. Tell me which team you think did the best in the draft. A lot of fun, a lot of great owner comments. And also, don't forget to check out the owner comments in the draft guide as well. We're going to post a link to a couple stories in the draft guide about this Champions Draft. The owners give their thoughts on their favorite picks, least favorite picks, reaches in the draft, all sorts of stuff on this Champions Draft as well. It's not just this video. We look more in depth as well in the draft guide. So check that out at freedraftguide.com, or you can go to the App Store. We have the draft guide in the app. Go to RealTime Fantasy Sports Draft Guide, and you can download it for your phone as well. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day, everyone.